Ant-Man came out and it underperformed on its opening weekend. In its second weekend, it massively undershot the expectations. And in its third weekend, it suffered a huge knockout blow by, coincidentally enough, a film starring Eric Killmonger facing Kang the Conqueror. Yes, that's right, Creed has delivered a killer blow. When the weekend is all said and done, it's going to be really interesting to look back on everything that's happened with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Of course, it's still doing relatively good, don't get me wrong, it's not considered a flop, but it's safe to say it could be doing way better. That's always the way you gotta look at these things. So, looking at this weekend's box office, obviously Creed came out with very strong reviews. It's coming out with a very strong Thursday, Friday, and Saturday box office. So it's looking really bad for Ant-Man because it's not having as much legs as people thought. Although going into this third weekend, it's actually maintaining just about what people expected. So the predictions are on point, but again, the predictions are low. It's essentially in that Black Adam range where, well, it's doing as good as predicted, but as good as predicted is based on a number that was nowhere near the initial release and the initial numbers, so they had to revise it downwards. And again, yeah, it's already surpassed certain films, but it's safe to say this thing should have been bigger. I think everybody can agree with that with me, right? So looking at this whole scenario, I think one thing is very clear, and that's the fact that I think we got to talk a little bit about Marvel quality and Marvel fatigue and whether there is a correlation between the two and whether that can apply to Ant-Man. Now again, we're going to have to wait till the end of the box office. This is a subject that quite a few people asked if I could cover in a Ask Armin video, so I will be covering that more in depth, but it's going to take a couple of weeks, and in the meantime, I'm going to work on another video kind of looking at a couple of things, but it's definitely not a good sign. But at the same time, you know, the thing that people keep saying is, it's Ant-Man. What do you expect from Ant-Man? And again, I can kind of see what they're coming, you know, with, but that's not something that we should always be relying on, right? Like, you can't just go, well, it was a third, fourth tier character in Marvel, so what do you expect? Again, if Ant-Man 2 ended up making more than the third one's going to make, that's a problem. We can all agree with that. So we'll talk about that in due time, but things are looking really, really bad for Ant-Man 3.